The continents have not yet found their places. The oceans are warmer or colder or gone entirely, and the life that fills this world is nothing like our own. Tonight we witness the vanished world of Earth before the dinosaurs. Let the ages dissolve around you. Sink gently into your pillow. The modern world can wait until morning. Let your eyelids grow pleasantly heavy. This is Forgotten Habitats. Let us begin. Close your eyes and allow your breath to find a slow, effortless pace. We are drifting back through the layers of the earth, moving through the deep soil and the cold stone, descending through time itself. We leave behind the age of mammals and the long reign of the dinosaurs, finding ourselves in a landscape that existed 300 million years ago. This is the Carboniferous period, a time when the atmosphere was rich with oxygen, and the forests were tall, strange, and endlessly green. In this primordial place, the trees do not resemble the oaks or pines you know. Here, giant club mosses, known as lepidodendron, stretch 100 feet into the humid sky, their trunks covered in diamond-shaped scars. There is a profound stillness in the humid warmth, a quiet that feels weighted and expectant. The light filters through a canopy of emerald scales, casting long, soft shadows across the sodden ground. You can smell the rich, earthy scent of decaying peat and the sharp tang of resin. Beneath the towering ferns, the forest floor is a carpet of mosses and fallen spores. A gentle movement stirs the damp leaf litter as an arthropleura, a giant relative of the millipede, glides slowly over the mud. It is nearly 8 feet long, its many legs moving in a mesmerizing, fluid wave that barely disturbs the silence. The creature is indifferent to your presence, focused only on the rotting vegetation that fuels its slow-moving life. It is a peaceful giant in a landscape of giants. High above, the atmosphere is thick and hazy, shimmering with the vibrance of a world in its prime. A meganeura, a dragonfly with the wingspan of a hawk, darts through a shaft of sunlight. Its wings are like stained glass, humming with a low, resonant note as it hovers above a stagnant pool. The vibration of its flight is a delicate pulse against the stillness of the swamp. It moves with a precision that has been perfected over millions of cycles. As the sun hangs low on the horizon, the golden light catches the scales of a Helenomus, one of the earliest reptiles. It is small and nimble, its skin glistening as it scuttles across a fallen log. This tiny pioneer represents a shift in the history of life, a creature no longer bound to the liquid depths for its survival. It pauses, its throat pulsing as it tastes the humid breeze, before disappearing into a crevice of bark. The transition of life from the river to the land is happening here, in the quiet corners of the forest. We move now toward the edge of a wide, slow-moving river that winds through the delta. The current is dark and stained with tannins, reflecting the bruised purple of the evening sky. Along the muddy banks, an Eriops, a stout amphibian with a broad, flat head, rests in the shallows. Its eyes peer above the skin of the stream, watching the dragonflies dance. The creature is a bridge between two realms, content to exist in the soft, cooling mud where the land meets the flow. Further inland, the landscape shifts as we move toward the dawn of the Permian era. The great swamps are giving way to sprawling plains and seasonal forests of conifers. The atmosphere here is drier, and the wind carries the scent of dust and distant rain. In the fading light, the silhouette of a Dimetrodon rises against the sky. Its magnificent sail, a fan of bone and skin, glows crimson as it catches the last warmth of the day. It stands motionless, a guardian of the cooling plains. Nearby, a herd of Edaphosaurus grazes on the tough, fibrous ferns of the lowland. These creatures are sturdy and slow, their movements measured and calm as they strip the vegetation. Their sails are smaller and more rounded than their predatory cousins, serving as silent radiators in the shifting climate. There is a sense of profound patience in their presence, a slow cadence of life that has no need for haste. They are the gentle architects of this changing terrain. As the evening deepens, the first stars begin to pierce the indigo veil of the sky. The constellations are unfamiliar, arranged in patterns that have long since vanished from the heavens. The landscape is cooling, and a soft mist rises from the ground, blurring the edges of the cycads and the stone. In the distance, the low rumble of a volcanic vent provides a deep, grounding bass note to the evening. The earth is alive, breathing with a heat that comes from deep within its core. In a hidden canyon, a Diplocaulus rests in a shallow pool, its boomerang-shaped head resting on the sandy bottom. The water here is crystal clear, fed by a trickle from the rocks above. The creature is nearly invisible in the half-light, a shadow among shadows. It waits for the night to fully descend, its gills waving gently in the cool stream. This is a sanctuary of stillness, where the passage of time seems to pause entirely. Across the horizon, a group of Scutosaurus moves with a heavy, deliberate gait toward a watering hole. These armored giants are built for endurance, their thick hides protecting them from the elements. Their footsteps create a faint vibration in the earth, a rhythmic reminder of their immense weight. They move as one, a slow-moving mountain of flesh and bone, driven by the immemorial need for the life-giving flow. The world around them is vast, yet they find their way with an innate, quiet certainty. In the shadow of a limestone cliff, a gorgonopsid prowls with feline grace. It is a predator of the late Permian, its long saber teeth catching the faint moonlight. Despite its power, it moves with a surprising silence, its paws treading softly over the dry needles of the conifers. It is not hunting tonight, but merely patrolling its territory, its amber eyes scanning the dimness. It is a master of this archaic landscape, a peak of evolution in a time of transformation. Near a cluster of seed ferns, an Estemenosuchus lowers its head to drink from a pond. Its face is adorned with strange bony protuberances, giving it a regal and otherworldly appearance. The ripples from its muzzle spread across the mirror-like surface, distorting the reflection of the moon. The creature exhales a deep, huffing breath, a sound that carries far in the quiet night. It is a moment of pure, unhurried existence, a snapshot of a life lived in harmony with the cycles of the era. As we drift further into the night, the wind begins to pick up, whispering through the needles of the Walkia trees. The sound is like a distant sea, a soft, rushing murmur that lulls the landscape into a deeper sleep. The temperature drops, and the creatures of the day have all retreated to their burrows and thickets. The land is now the domain of the shadows and the cool silver light. It is a time of rest for a world that is constantly, slowly changing. High on a ridge, the silhouette of a Dicenodont can be seen, its tusks glinting as it looks out over the valley. It is a small, hardy survivor, a testament to the resilience of life in the face of a drying planet. It finds a sheltered spot beneath a rock overhang and curls its tail around its body. The warmth of the earth beneath it provides a final comfort as it closes its eyes. The valley below is a tapestry of silver and grey, a landscape at peace. Deep in the forest, bioluminescent fungi glow on the underside of a fallen lepidodendron. The soft, ghostly green light illuminates the damp bark and the scurrying of tiny insects. It is a miniature galaxy within the dark, a reminder that life flourishes in every hidden corner. The decay of the old forest provides the nourishment for the new, a cycle that has persisted since the first spark of life. The air is still here, protected by the density of the ancient trunks. Above the canopy, the sky is a vast expanse of velvet, crowded with more stars than the modern eye could ever imagine. There is no light pollution here, only the raw, brilliant fire of the cosmos. The Milky Way is a bright, shimmering river of light, casting a faint glow over the entire continent. It is a sight of measureless beauty, a silent witness to the millions of years that have passed. The scale of time and space is felt in the very marrow of the earth. As the first hint of pre-dawn light touches the eastern horizon, the world remains in a state of deep, restorative quiet. The mists are at their thickest, clinging to the riverbanks and the low-lying plains. The sounds of the night have faded, and the calls of the morning have yet to begin. It is the moment between breaths, the pause before the world turns once more. You are safe here, held in the cradle of deep time. The landscape is a masterpiece of shadow and light, a place where every stone and leaf has a story to tell. We have seen the giants of the swamp and the masters of the plains, all living their lives in the slow, measured tempo of the prehistoric. The earth is a sanctuary, a place of constant renewal and enduring peace. As the stars begin to fade, the memory of this place remains, a soft echo in the chambers of your mind. We leave this era now, drifting slowly back toward the present, carrying the stillness of the Permian with us. The weight of the world is light, and the path ahead is clear and calm. The journey through the vanished habitats of the past has only just begun, leading us toward the next chapter of the Earth's long and winding story. We drift backward, through the layers of stone and memory, into a time when the planet breathed a different oxygen. The atmosphere here is rich, saturated with the exhaled life of a billion ferns. You are standing at the edge of a great swamp in the Carboniferous era, where the trees reach toward the stars like emerald pillars. This is a landscape of 300 million years ago, where the terrestrial life finds its first true foothold. The ground beneath your feet is a carpet of soft moss and decaying vegetation, yielding gently to every step. A low mist hangs between the trunks of lepidodendron, their diamond-scaled bark glistening in the moonlight. There is a profound stillness here, broken only by the distant, muffled thud of a falling branch. Every breath you take is deep and restorative, filling your lungs with the vitality of this primordial jungle. High above, the canopy is a dense weave of needle-like leaves, blotting out much of the celestial glow. A giant dragonfly, a meganeura with a wingspan of over 2 feet, glides silently through the clearing. Its iridescent wings catch the faint light, shimmering like spun glass before it vanishes into the dimness. It moves with a grace that seems impossible for its size, a master of the humid heights. Near a stagnant pool, a massive millipede, the Arthropleura, ripples across the forest floor. It is nearly 8 feet long, its many legs moving in a mesmerizing, wave-like pattern. The creature is indifferent to your presence, focused only on the rotting plant matter that fuels its immense size. The rustle of its passage through the dry leaves is a soft, rhythmic whisper in the night. The atmosphere is warm and humid, carrying the scent of damp earth and sweet resin. It is a sensory embrace, a reminder of a planet that was once a greenhouse of unparalleled growth. You can feel the moisture on your skin, a fine dew that settles as the temperature drops. This is a place of constant renewal, where the old is slowly reclaimed by the damp earth. We move toward the edge of the forest, where the land meets the sprawling deltas of an inland sea. The transition is marked by the thinning of the giant mosses and the appearance of early ferns. Here the landscape opens up, revealing a horizon dominated by the soft curves of distant mountains. The silver light of the moon reflects off the mudflats, creating a shimmering path toward the horizon. In the shallows of the river delta, a group of small amphibians, the Hylonomus, scurry among the roots of mangrove-like trees. They are the pioneers of the dry land, their scaly skin a shield against the elements. Their movements are quick and nervous, a sharp contrast to the slow, deliberate pace of the larger giants. They find shelter in the hollows of fallen logs, safe from the predators of the air. The stream here is slow and clear, reflecting the silver light of a moon that appears larger in this era. Beneath the surface, small fish dart among the reeds, their silver scales flashing. This is the cradle of terrestrial life, a place where the boundary between the brine and the earth is thin. The flow is gentle, carrying the nutrients of the forest out to the waiting ocean. Further out, where the river meets the ocean, the Devonian era reveals its secrets in the deep. This is the age of fishes, a time when the oceans were ruled by armored predators of incredible scale. The Dunkleosteus, a massive fish with bone-plated jaws, cruises the reef with a slow, predatory grace. Its presence is felt as a low vibration in the brine, a reminder of the power that dwells in the depths. The coral reefs of this time are different from those you know, built by extinct organisms that create strange alien shapes. Bioluminescent polyps glow in shades of violet and blue, casting a ghostly light over the seabed. It is a submerged garden of wonders, quiet and serene in the crushing depths. The current moves through the coral with a soft hiss, carrying the microscopic life that sustains this ecosystem. A Tiktaalik rests on a muddy bank, its fins half submerged in the cooling flow. It is a creature of two worlds, breathing the atmosphere while its body remains tethered to the depths. Its eyes, positioned on top of its flat head, watch the shoreline with a primitive curiosity. It represents the bridge between the sea and the land, a silent witness to the evolution of life. The night is a period of profound quiet in the Devonian, as the great predators of the sea retreat to the shadows. The only noise is the gentle lap of the tide against the shore, a measured pulse that has echoed for eons. The stars above are bright and unwavering, guiding the way through the labyrinth of time. The air here is cooler, carrying the salt of the sea and the scent of drying mud. We drift now to the Silurian, where the first plants are only just beginning to colonize the barren rock. Cooksonia, tiny and branching, stand like miniature sentinels on the edges of the volcanic plains. The landscape is stark and beautiful, a minimalist masterpiece of red stone and grey ash. There are no forests here yet, only the brave first steps of green life. The volcanic activity is a constant, low-frequency vibration felt through the soles of your feet. Distant vents release plumes of steam into the cooling atmosphere, lit from below by the orange glow of magma. It is the raw, creative power of the earth, forging new land from the heart of the planet. The smell of sulfur and hot stone hangs in the haze, a reminder of the earth's fiery youth. In the tidal pools, sea scorpions, the Eurypterids, scuttle through the kelp forests. Some are as small as a hand, while others reach the size of a man, their segmented bodies glinting like polished obsidian. They are the masters of these shallow seas, moving with a fluid efficiency. Their claws probe the crevices for food, their movements precise and calculated. The atmosphere here is thinner, the oxygen levels lower than the lush forests of the future. Yet, there is a clarity to the light and a sharpness to the landscape that is breathtaking. Every crag and crevice is etched in sharp relief by the setting moon, which paints the horizon in bruised purples and deep golds. The silence is profound, a blank canvas upon which the future will be written. As we move deeper into the night, the volcanic glow becomes the primary source of light. It casts long, flickering shadows across the basalt plains, creating a landscape of shifting shapes. The heat from the vents provides a pocket of warmth in the cooling evening, a sanctuary for the early life forms. The earth is alive, breathing through the vents and shifting through the tremors. The silence of the Silurian is absolute, a quiet that predates the arrival of songbirds or even the hum of insects. It is the silence of a world still being born, a place of immense potential and quiet strength. You can hear the very heartbeat of the planet in the rhythmic pulse of the tides. The stars are the only witnesses to this era of transformation. We return to the Carboniferous swamps as the moon reaches its zenith, the silver light filtering through the dense canopy. The Arthropleura has found a hollow log to rest in, its long body coiled in a protective spiral. The forest is a cathedral of green and grey, a place of sanctuary and rest. The cycle of growth and decay continues, a slow and steady process that will one day form the coal seams of the future. Every leaf that falls and every creature that rests contributes to the legacy of the earth. This is the enduring strength of life, a force that persists through every era and every change. The journey through these vanished habitats is a reminder of the long and winding path that led to your own time. The landscape is at peace, held in the gentle embrace of deep time. We look now toward the horizon, where the first light of a new age begins to stir. The first light of a new age stirs, but it is not the humid morning of the coal forests that we have left behind. We find ourselves moving across a landscape that has grown more seasonal, more demanding, and more complex. The sprawling continents have joined, forming a single, immense landmass that stretches from pole to pole, a supercontinent known as Pangaea. This union has changed the very flow of the winds and the currents of the oceans, creating measureless interiors where the rain rarely falls. In this early Permian evening, the atmosphere carries the scent of resin and sun-baked earth, a sharp departure from the damp rot of the previous era. The towering club mosses of the past are receding, replaced by the sturdy silhouettes of conifers and ginkgos that can withstand the drier cycles. Their needles brush against one another in the breeze, creating a dry, whispering melody that carries across the red plains. It is a music of survival, a testament to the resilience of the green world as it adapts to a changing climate. Near a slow-moving stream that carves its way through the iron-rich soil, a Dimetrodon rests upon a shelf of crimson sandstone. Its magnificent sail, a fan of bone and skin, catches the final rays of the receding sun, glowing with a vibrant, translucent warmth. This structure acts as a delicate regulator, absorbing the heat of the day to fuel the creature's slow, deliberate movements. The creature is a master of thermal energy, using the sun to awaken its spirit and prepare for the coming cool of the night. The animal breathes with a steady, measured pace, its ribs expanding and contracting beneath its leathery, scaleless hide. It is not a dinosaur, but a distant relative of the lineage that will one day lead to the mammals, a synapsid of great power and presence. There is a quiet intelligence in its amber eyes as it watches the shadows lengthen across the valley, its mind attuned to the subtle shifts in the environment. It is a sentinel of the red beds, a guardian of a place in transition. In the nearby thickets of seed ferns, an Edaphosaurus moves with a similar grace, though its intent is far more peaceful and methodical. It grazes upon the tough foliage of the gymnosperms, its specialized teeth grinding the fibrous plant matter into a digestible pulp. The sail on its back is adorned with crossbars, a unique signature of its kind that shimmers in the twilight like a piece of living architecture. It moves without haste, secure in its size and the abundance of the scrubland. The flow of the stream is sluggish now, choked with silt and the fallen needles of the upland trees that have begun to dominate the hillsides. A large amphibian, known as Eriops, lies partially submerged in the cooling mud at the edge of the flow, its body a study in stillness. Its broad, flat head breaks the face of it, eyes positioned high to scan the dimming landscape for any sign of movement. It is a creature of two realms, lingering in the mud while the land above begins to dry and harden. The humidity that once defined the Carboniferous has begun to retreat toward the distant coastlines, leaving the heart of the continent to find its own balance. In the interior of the landmass, the seasons have become more pronounced, bringing long periods of dry heat and cool, starlit nights that test the endurance of life. The earth beneath us is firm, a mosaic of cracked clay and resilient mosses that have learned to wait for the rare arrival of the rains. Every footprint we leave is a mark on a landscape that is slowly becoming a desert. High above the canopy of the conifer groves, a dragonfly with a wingspan of nearly 30 inches glides through the cooling haze. This Meganeuropsis is a master of the sky, its multifaceted eyes catching the glint of the rising stars as it hunts for smaller insects. It moves with a silent, hovering precision, a ghost of the predatory giants that once ruled the skies of the coal forests. Its wings are like sheets of iridescent glass, beating with a frequency that is felt more as a pressure than a noise. The transition into the night is a slow descent into a deep indigo blue, a color that seems to soak into the very stones of the canyon. The heat of the day persists in the rocks, radiating upward and providing a soft warmth to the creatures that dwell near the ground. You can feel this warmth against your skin, a lingering embrace from the sun-drenched earth that softens the chill of the evening breeze. It is a sanctuary of heat in a landscape that is gradually losing its tropical fever. Further south, in the rugged region that will one day become the Karoo Basin, the terrain is more mountainous and broken. Here, the first of the Gorgonopsians begin their evening patrol, their powerful forms moving through the shadows with a predatory elegance. These synapsids are built for endurance and speed, their long limbs carrying them across the rocky terrain with a fluid, wolf-like gait. They are the new masters of the land, predators that have evolved to hunt the large herbivores of the plains. The Gorgonopsid pauses atop a jagged ridge, its nostrils flaring as it catches the scent of a distant herd of parasaurs moving through the scrub. It does not hunt with the frantic, explosive energy of a modern carnivore, but with a patient, calculated persistence that can last for miles. The era of the synapsids is at its peak, a time of experimentation and evolutionary triumph, where the ancestors of mammals first claimed the earth. The night belongs to them, a time of shadows and silent pursuit. The stars over the Permian are unfamiliar to our eyes. Their constellations arranged in patterns that have long since shifted through the dance of the galaxies. The Milky Way is a vibrant river of light, spanning the sky from horizon to horizon with a clarity that is unknown in our modern, crowded world. It is a canopy of silver and white, watching over the sleeping continent with a cold, indifferent beauty. The light of stars that died millions of years ago reaches down to touch the scales of the resting creatures. Among the tangled roots of a giant horsetail, a colony of early beetles scurries through the dry leaf litter in search of food. Their carapaces are a dull bronze, clicking softly as they navigate the labyrinth of decaying vegetation and fallen cones. They are the recyclers of this era, turning the debris of the forest into the rich soil that will nourish the plants of the next generation. Their work is small and unnoticed, yet it is the foundation upon which the entire ecosystem is built. The silence of the night is occasionally punctuated by the deep, resonant call of a Diplocalus from the nearby seasonal pond. This creature, with its strange boomerang-shaped head, finds safety in the depths as the temperature of the land begins to drop. Its call is a low vibration that travels through the flow, a secret language of the shallows that speaks of territory and mates. The pond is a microcosm of life, a refuge of moisture in a land that is growing increasingly thirsty. The wind carries the faint metallic tang of minerals from the distant mountains, where the earth is being pushed upward by the collision of plates. These peaks are young and jagged, their summits reaching toward the heavens in a defiant display of tectonic power and geological ambition. The forces of the earth are constantly at work, shifting the plates and sculpting the face of the planet in a slow, irresistible process. We are witnesses to the birth of a mountain range, a monument to the restless heart of the era. As the moon climbs higher toward its zenith, it casts a pale, silvery glow over the fields of Glossopteris ferns that cover the southern valleys. These hardy plants are the pioneers of the cold, their tongue-shaped leaves forming a dense carpet that can survive the frost of the higher latitudes. They are a testament to the resilience of life in an ever-changing environment, a green tide that refuses to be turned back by the cooling climate. Their seeds are carried by the wind, spreading the promise of life to every corner of the continent. A small, lizard-like creature known as a procolophonid scurries across a fallen log, its claws making a faint scratching noise on the dry bark. It disappears into a deep crevice between the rocks, seeking the safety of a burrow before the true chill of the midnight hour arrives. The small lives of the Permian are just as vital as the giants, each playing a critical role in the complex tapestry of the Paleozoic. In the safety of the Earth, it waits for the sun to return and warm its blood once more. The atmosphere is still now, the wind having died down to a mere whisper that barely stirs the needles of the conifers. The only movement is the slow, majestic drift of clouds across the face of the moon, their edges glowing with a soft, ethereal light. This is a moment of profound stillness, a pause in the long, relentless march of the geological ages where the Earth seems to hold its breath. In this quietude we can feel the deep connection between all things, the shared history of the planet. We find ourselves standing at the edge of a great salt pan, the white crystals shimmering like a field of fallen stars under the moonlight. This was once a vibrant, freshwater lake, but the changing climate has left behind a landscape of crystalline beauty and harsh, silent solitude. It is a reminder of the fragility of the ecosystems we inhabit and the constant cycle of transformation that defines the history of the Earth. The salt crunches beneath our feet, a noise like breaking glass in the absolute silence. As we continue our journey through this vanished age, the landscape begins to soften, the sharp edges of the red rocks blurred by a thickening mist. The transition toward the end of the Paleozoic is a time of both profound ending and spectacular beginning, a threshold between the world of the past and the world of the future. We move forward, guided by the steady pulse of the Earth, as the first hints of a new dawn wait just beyond the horizon, promising a world transformed once again. The mist that draped the salt pans now thins, revealing a landscape of rugged basalt and towering seed ferns that seem to reach for the very stars themselves. We step away from the crystalline floor, our path leading into the heart of the late Permian interior, a place where the history of the Earth is written in layers of cooled lava and compressed ash. Here, the heat of the day persists in the stones, radiating a soft glow of thermal energy that rises through the soles of our feet, a comforting reminder of the sun's power. This warmth is an enduring memory of the daylight hours, stored deep within the blackened volcanic rock that forms the backbone of this sprawling continent. We walk with a slow, measured pace, feeling the texture of the Earth change from the brittle salt to the gritty, iron-rich soil of the high plains. The foliage here is different, dominated by the sturdy trunks of Glossopteris and the reach of early conifers that stand like silent sentinels in the moonlight. Their needles are stiff and waxy, designed to hold moisture in a land where rain is a precious, infrequent gift from the heavens. We move through the shadows of these giants, the ground beneath us a carpet of dry needles and fallen cones that crunch softly with every step we take. The scent of resin is strong here, a sharp, clean fragrance that cuts through the stagnant haze of the lowlands, filling our lungs with the breath of the highlands. It is a smell that has existed for millions of years, a constant in a terrain that is always shifting under the pressure of the tectonic plates. A low, vibrating hum travels through the ground, a signal of life that resonates in the very marrow of our bones. Emerging from a thicket of cycads, we find a group of Scutosaurus huddling together for the night, their massive bodies providing warmth to one another. These armored giants are like living boulders, their skin pebbled with bony plates that catch the dim light of the setting constellations in a mosaic of grey and silver. They breathe in synchronized measures, their massive ribs expanding and contracting like the bellows of a primordial forge in the heart of the forest. There is a sense of immense weight and stability in their presence, a quiet strength that defines their existence in this harsh, beautiful era. Nearby, a shallow stream bed holds the last remnants of a seasonal pool, the liquid shimmering like liquid mercury in the half-light. The flow has slowed to a mere trickle, yet it remains the lifeblood of this parched valley, sustaining the creatures that call this place home. A small Dimetrodon, no larger than a common dog, nuzzles at the damp mud, its tusks scraping against the sediment as it searches for succulent roots. It is a creature of habit and persistence, surviving where others might falter in the face of the encroaching drought. We watch its quiet work, the only movement in an otherwise motionless landscape, a testament to the resilience of the small and the determined. The atmosphere carries the faint metallic scent of distant volcanic activity, a reminder of the restless heart of the planet. To the north, the horizon is tinged with a dull copper glow where the Earth is beginning to tear open in a series of massive fissures. This is the herald of a changing age, a slow-motion upheaval that will eventually redefine the boundaries of all life on the planet. Yet here, in the secluded valley, the peace remains undisturbed by the coming fire, a sanctuary of stillness in a world of change. The sulphurous tang is faint, masked by the smell of damp earth and the cooling night air, a subtle reminder of the power that lies beneath our feet. We follow the slope of the land toward the great Tethys Ocean, the terrain falling away in a series of dramatic terraces. The ground shifts from basalt to limestone, the white rock gleaming like polished bone in the silvery light of the moon. The vegetation thins, replaced by hardy shrubs and low-lying ferns that cling to the wind-swept ridges with desperate tenacity. Below us, the sea stretches out a mirror for the celestial parade above, its tides pulling at the jagged coastline with a measured persistence. The scale of the ocean is humbling, a boundless expanse of indigo that hides secrets we can only imagine in our wildest dreams. The spray of the ocean is cool and salt-laden, a sharp contrast to the dry, dusty heat of the interior. We descend toward a sheltered lagoon, where the waves are muffled by a natural breakwater of coral and bryozoans that have grown over centuries. The shallows are alive with the glimmer of bioluminescence, tiny organisms flashing like emerald sparks in the wake of every passing current. The movement is fluid and ethereal, a dance of light in the murk that illuminates the complex world beneath the waves. We pause at the edge of the lagoon, letting the cool mist settle on our skin as we listen to the pulse of the sea. An Inostrancevia, a predator of terrifying grace and power, stands at the lip of the lagoon, its silhouette stark against the water. Its long, saber-like teeth are tucked within its powerful jaw, and its eyes, keen and focused, scan the shallows for any sign of movement. It does not hunt now, but merely drinks, its tongue lapping at the brackish flow with a quiet, repetitive motion that echoes in the stillness. It is the undisputed master of this domain, a pinnacle of Permian evolution that commands respect and awe. The power in its shoulders is evident even in repose, a coiled energy that speaks of its role as the ultimate hunter of the Paleozoic. The stars above are unfamiliar to our modern eyes, arranged in constellations that have long since drifted apart across the eons. They shine with a piercing clarity, unburdened by the dust or light of a modern civilization, casting a pale glow over the entire landscape. We watch as a meteor streaks across the firmament, a momentary needle of fire that vanishes into the depths of the ocean without a sound. It is a reminder of the cosmic scale on which this landscape exists, a small part of a much larger celestial story that continues to unfold every night. The silence of the night is a blanket, wrapping the world in a layer of peace and mystery. In the deeper channels beyond the lagoon, the ammonoids drift like ghosts through the indigo depths. Their coiled shells are masterpieces of natural geometry, pulsing gently as they navigate the currents with effortless grace. They are the silent voyagers of the Paleozoic, moving through the deep with a fluid motion that defies their strange and alien forms. Each pulse of their mantle sends them gliding through the cool liquid, away from the turbulence of the shore and into the sanctuary of the open sea. Their journey is one of quiet efficiency, a life lived in the constant cold embrace of the deep ocean. The forest of the coast is a tangle of lepidodendron and sigillaria, remnants of an older time that still find purchase in the damp soil. Their diamond-patterned bark is slick with sea mist, and their high canopies are lost in the low-hanging clouds that drift in from the ocean. Here the atmosphere is thick with the smell of decay and rebirth, the cycle of the swamp continuing as it has for millions of years without interruption. It is a terrain of shadows and dampness, where the line between land and sea is blurred by the rising tide and the constant moisture. We move through the undergrowth, our footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of moss. A group of Paleozoic moves through the thicket, their weighted footfalls creating a rhythmic thud that vibrates through the sodden earth. They are slow and deliberate in their movements, their minds focused only on the next patch of edible greenery that grows in the shade of the giant club moss. They are the gentle grazers of this era, untroubled by the shifting tectonic plates or the cooling of the global climate. To them the landscape is a feast of ferns and succulent leaves, a bountiful garden that provides everything they need to survive. We watch them pass, their massive forms disappearing into the fog, like creatures from a dream. We find a place to rest upon a shelf of sandstone, overlooking the immense expanse of the Tethys as it meets the sky. The vibration of the surf is a soothing presence, a constant that anchors us to the present moment in this long-vanished age. The landscape is a study in endurance, a testament to the tenacity of life in the face of constant geological upheaval and change. Every leaf and every scale is a part of a grand, unfolding story that has been written over millions of years across the face of the planet. We sit in silence, letting the majesty of the scene wash over us in the quiet of the night. The wind shifts, bringing with it the scent of blooming cycads from the valleys further inland. It is a sweet, dense aroma that fills the senses, a brief flowering in the long twilight of the Permian period. These plants are the harbingers of a new era, their seeds a promise of the forests that will one day dominate the landscape during the age of the dinosaurs. They stand as sentinels between the old world and the new, their presence a bridge between two very different chapters in the history of life. The fragrance lingers in the atmosphere, a delicate thread of life in the rugged terrain. As the night deepens further, the creatures of the day find their burrows and nests, seeking shelter from the cooling temperatures. The silence of the landscape is profound, broken only by the occasional creak of a branch or the splash of a fish in the lagoon. The stars seem to descend closer to the earth, their light wrapping the terrain in a protective silvery cloak that obscures the harshness of the basalt. We are alone in this primordial sanctuary, witnesses to a time before time, a moment of absolute stillness in a landscape that is always in motion. The world feels small and intimate in the glow of the stars. The distant volcanic glow in the north grows slightly more intense, a pulsing vein of orange against the blackness of the sky. It is a reminder that the Earth is a living, breathing entity, capable of both incredible creation and devastating destruction. But for now, the fire is far away, and the valley is safe from the heat and the ash. The cycle of the night continues, undisturbed by the forces of the deep earth, a peaceful interval in the long and turbulent history of the planet. We watch the glow with a sense of detached wonder, safe in our mountain retreat. We watch a small winged insect alight on a fern frond, just a few inches from where we sit. Its wings are iridescent, catching the moonlight in a play of colors that defies simple description, shifting from green to gold. It is a fragile thing, yet its lineage will survive the coming cataclysm, carrying the spark of life into the ages that follow. It represents the quiet strength of the small, the survivors of the great transitions that define the history of life on our planet. The insect remains still for a long moment, its antennae twitching in the cool breeze before it takes flight once more. The tide begins to turn, the flow receding from the lagoon and exposing the intricate architecture of the ancient reef. Crabs and other small crustaceans scuttle among the tide pools, scavenging for the treasures left behind by the retreating sea. Their movements are quick and efficient, a frantic dance of survival in the brief window of low tide before the sun rises. They are the cleaners of the coast, ensuring that nothing goes to waste in the tight economy of the Permian ecosystem. We watch their busy work, a miniature drama playing out on the rocks at our feet. We close our eyes for a moment, letting the murmurs of the Permian wash over us like a gentle wave, the breath of the wind, the hiss of the surf, and the distant calls of creatures we will never truly know. It is a symphony of the long vanished, a song of the earth that echoes through the corridors of time to reach us here. In this stillness, we find a sense of peace that transcends the ages, a connection to the deep history of our world that is both humbling and profound. The earth breathes with us, a slow and steady pulse. The transition toward the new day is slow, a gradual softening of the shadows as the stars begin to fade. The horizon begins to pale, the first hints of dawn appearing as a thin line of violet and grey over the eastern mountains. The landscape is poised on the brink of a new chapter, a transformation that will change everything we see before us. We prepare to move forward, guided by the steady pulse of the planet as it turns toward the light, leaving the shadows of the Permian behind as we step into the unknown future of the Triassic. The dawn of this new era arrives, not with a roar, but with a quiet, persistent heat that clings to the scorched earth. We find ourselves in the heart of the supercontinent, where the land stretches toward every horizon in shades of rust and ochre. The sky above is a deep, bruised purple, holding the warmth of the day long after the sun has dipped below the jagged peaks of the distant mountains. In this early stage of the Triassic, the landscape is a sparse, resilient place, still recovering from the great silence that came before. We stand upon the red siltstone of the Karoo Basin, where the ground is dry and cracked, mapping out a geometry of endurance. There are no forests here, no towering canopies to catch the wind, only low thickets of ferns and hardy lycopods that hug the banks of slow-moving streams. The atmosphere is thin, and the smell of dust and dry mineral hangs in the stillness, a scent that speaks of a world being rebuilt from the ashes. We listen to the low hum of the wind as it brushes against the stones, a lonely note in an immense open space. Nearby, a group of Lystrosaurus move through the half-light, their barrel-shaped bodies low to the ground as they forage for the tough roots of horsetails. These survivors are the ghosts of the transition, the most common life on a planet that has seen so much loss. Their movements are slow, deliberate, and efficient as they navigate the rocky terrain with a sturdy, unhurried grace. We watch them as they huddle together for warmth, their heavy breaths visible in the cooling night air, a testament to the persistence of the lineage. A soft, rustling sound comes from the base of a nearby cliff, where a Thrinaxodon has emerged from its spiral burrow. This small, whiskered creature sniffs the atmosphere, its sensitive nose twitching as it searches for the scent of insects or smaller reptiles. It is a creature of the shadows, a pioneer of a new way of living that relies on the safety of the earth itself. We see the glint of its eyes in the moonlight, a spark of intelligence and adaptation in a landscape that demands both to survive. The rivers of this age are wide and shallow, choked with the red mud of a continent that has lost its protective coat of trees. We follow the bank of a sluggish channel, where the liquid moves with the consistency of syrup, carrying the debris of the high country toward the sea. In the shallows, a Proterosuchus lies motionless, its long, hooked snout resting on a submerged log as it waits for the cover of complete darkness. It is an apex predator of this recovering world, a reminder that even in the lean times, the ancient dance of hunter and hunted continues. Further along the bank, the ground is covered in a dense carpet of fungal growth, a pale, ghostly white that contrasts with the deep reds of the soil. This is the fungal spike, a period where the decomposers rule the land, feasting on the remains of the old world. The mushrooms stand like tiny translucent umbrellas, their spores drifting on the breeze like microscopic snow. It is a strange alien sight, a landscape of decay that is in itself a vibrant and necessary form of life. We move toward the distant coast, where the Tethys Ocean laps against the eastern edge of Pangaea. The brine here is warm and low in oxygen, a challenging environment for the creatures that dwell within its depths. Along the shoreline, thousands of chloria shells lie bleached and white, survivors of the stagnant seas that now find a foothold in the changing tides. The murmur of the surf is a constant, rhythmic presence, a sound that has not changed in all the millions of years that have passed. In the moonlit bays, the first of the marine reptiles begin to explore the open water. A Hupasuchus glides through the current, its paddle-like limbs moving with a fluid, effortless motion that belies its terrestrial ancestry. It is a pioneer of the deep, a creature that has turned its back on the scorched land to find a new future in the blue. We watch the silver trail it leaves behind, a line of light that cuts through the dark reflection of the stars on the face of the sea. The heat of the day persists in the stones beneath our feet, radiating upward as the stars become more distinct in the cloudless sky. There are no birds to sing in the twilight, and no mammals to scurry through the undergrowth, only the quiet, steady pulse of a planet in transition. We feel the weight of time here, the slow accumulation of years as the ecosystem begins to stitch itself back together. Every fern that takes root, and every burrow that is dug, is a victory for the living world. We observe a small Euparkeria as it leaps from a rock to catch a dragonfly, its movements quick and agile. This tiny archosaur carries within it the blueprint for the giants that will follow, a spark of evolutionary potential that will eventually fill the world with thunder. For now, it is small and unassuming, a successful opportunist in a world of limited resources. It vanishes into a crevice, leaving us alone with the wind and the stars once more. The volcanic haze that once choked the atmosphere has begun to clear, leaving the sky a brilliant, crystalline black. The constellations are unfamiliar to us, a different map of the heavens for a different age of the Earth. We look up at the celestial display, feeling a sense of profound connection to the cosmic cycles that govern the rise and fall of eras. The planet turns, the seasons shift, and the life that remains prepares for the long journey toward the middle of the Mesozoic. As we rest on a ridge overlooking the vast Karoo, the landscape seems to breathe with us, a slow and steady inhalation of the cool night air. The shadows are long and deep, hiding the secrets of the recovery that is happening all around us. We sense the resilience of the Earth, its ability to heal and to reinvent itself even after the most devastating of trials. It is a quiet, powerful realization that fills us with a sense of peace and wonder. The scent of damp earth and cycad pollen drifts on the breeze, a sign that the flora is slowly reclaiming the interior of the continent. We see the silhouettes of Voltsia trees on the horizon, their stiff, needle-like branches reaching for the moon. These are the ancestors of the great conifers, the first of the new forests that will one day provide shade and shelter for a world of giants. They stand like sentinels guarding the progress of life as it moves forward into the unknown. We listen to the distant call of a large amphibian, a deep, resonant croak that echoes through the river valley. It is a lonely sound, a reminder of the vastness of the landscape and the relative scarcity of life in this early Triassic world. But it is also a sign of presence, a declaration that the silence has been broken and the world is alive once more. We let the sound wash over us, a soothing melody of the primordial night. The shadows lengthen across the red silt as we look toward the horizon where the first true giants will one day walk, though for now the earth belongs to the small, the patient, and the enduring. We descend from the stony heights, our footsteps unheard upon the fine ochre dust of the plains. Below us, the braided river systems of the Karoo Basin gleam like silver threads under the starlight. These channels are the arteries of a recovering land, carrying life-giving moisture from distant mountains to the parched interior. We watch the flow as it winds through the silt, a slow and patient movement that has carved these paths over thousands of years. A herd of Lystrosaurus is gathered near the bank. their barrel-shaped bodies pressed together for warmth in the cooling night. These hardy survivors, with their tusked beaks and powerful limbs, are the most common sight in this early Triassic landscape. They breathe in a slow, collective measure, their lungs adapted to an atmosphere that is still thin and lean. We can hear the soft grinding of their jaws as they chew on the tough, fibrous roots of dicroidium ferns, a sound that speaks of simple persistence. The ground beneath us is a record of resilience, composed of layers of red sandstone and grey mudstone that have captured the story of the recovery. We see the ripples in the dried mud, frozen in time, marking the retreat of the last seasonal flood. This terrain is not yet the lush paradise it once was, but it is no longer the wasteland of the extinction. It is a place of transition, where the scars of the past are being covered by the slow growth of the present. In the shadow of a fallen Vultsia trunk, a small Thrinaxodon stirs within its burrow. This cynodont, a distant relative of the lineage that will lead to mammals, is a master of the underground. Its whiskers twitch, sensing the vibrations of the night, its body covered in a fine layer of downy fur to trap the heat. It is a creature of the margins, waiting for the safety of the deep shadow to emerge and forage for insects among the leaf litter. The night chill deepens, and a light mist starts to form over the damp hollows of the riverbed. This moisture is a precious gift, clinging to the fronds of the horsetails and the stiff needles of the conifers. We see the droplets glisten like diamonds in the starlight, a fleeting display of beauty in a world that is often harsh and unforgiving. The atmosphere is quiet, save for the occasional creak of a branch or the distant murmur of the current. High above, the celestial sphere is crowded with stars, their patterns unfamiliar to eyes accustomed to a later age. There is no moon to compete with their brilliance, leaving the landscape in a state of soft, starlit clarity. We look up at the sprawling constellations, feeling the immense scale of the cosmos as it watches over the slow rebuilding of the biosphere. The stars are a constant, a fixed point of reference, in an era where everything else is in flux. Along the edge of a stagnant pool, a group of Procolophon move with deliberate, lizard-like grace. These small, thick-bodied reptiles are well adapted to the arid conditions, their skin covered in tough, protective scales. They gather near the moisture to feed on the succulent stems of the ichysotites, their movements slow and economical to conserve energy. They are a reminder that in this era, the small and the efficient are the ones who thrive. We notice a change in the texture of the soil as we move toward a cluster of limestone outcrops. The earth here is crusted with salt, a remnant of the intense evaporation that characterizes the Triassic climate. Yet even here, life finds a way to endure, with specialized ferns growing in the crevices where the morning dew collects. The tenacity of these plants is a testament to the driving force of evolution, pushing into every available niche. In the distance, the silhouette of a Proterosuchus emerges from the reeds, its long, low body gliding silently into the flow. This early archosaur is a formidable presence, its hooked snout and sharp teeth marking it as a top predator of the waterways. It moves with a serpentine grace, its tail cutting through the liquid with barely a ripple. It is a hunter of the shallows, a sentinel of the river systems that keeps the ecosystem in balance. The scent of the land is a complex mixture of dry dust, damp earth, and the resinous tang of the conifers. It is a primordial aroma, one that has not changed for millions of years, a sensory link to the deep history of the planet. We inhale deeply, letting the fragrance fill our senses and ground us in the reality of this long-vanished place. The night is a time of reflection, a quiet interval where the history of the Earth feels tangible and near. We come across a grove of dicroidium trees, their umbrella-like canopies casting broad shadows across the silvered ground. These seed ferns are the dominant flora of the southern continent. Their tough, forked leaves are staple for the herbivores of the Karoo. We run our hands over the rough bark, feeling the strength of the wood and the vitality of the sap within. These trees are the pillars of the new forests, the foundation upon which the future will be built. A low vibration hums through the ground, a sign of the tectonic forces that are slowly pulling the supercontinent of Pangaea apart. It is a subtle movement, one that would be imperceptible to most. But in the stillness of the night, it is a reminder of the restless nature of the Earth. The mountains are rising, the basins are sinking, and the map of the world is being redrawn 1 millimeter at a time. We feel a sense of awe at the scale of these processes, the slow and steady march of geological time. Near a cluster of petrified logs, we find a family of small bipedal reptiles resting in the hollow of a stump. They are early archosauromorphs, the ancestors of the great lineages that will one day dominate the planet. For now they are small and vulnerable, their survival dependent on their agility and their ability to hide in the undergrowth. They huddle together, their tiny hearts beating in unison, a spark of potential waiting for the right moment to ignite. The landscape expands before us, a boundless stretch of plains and hills that seems to go on forever. In this era, the interior of the continent is a place of extremes, where the seasons bring either scorching heat or torrential floods. But tonight, the terrain is at peace, a quiet expanse of shadow and light that invites contemplation. We feel small in the face of such magnitude, a temporary visitor in a world that operates on a scale of millions of years. We observe a large erythrosaurus as it rests on a rocky shelf, its massive head tucked against its flank. This is the largest predator of the early Triassic, a heavy-set beast that commands respect from everything that crosses its path. Even in sleep, it exudes an aura of power, its thick muscles and armored skin a testament to its role as an apex hunter. It is a sign that the food web is becoming more complex, a sign that the recovery is reaching a new stage. The murmur of the wind through the cycad leaves is like a whispered conversation from the past. It carries the stories of the species that came before and the promise of those yet to come. We listen to the cadence of the breeze, a soothing and repetitive pattern that lulls the senses and calms the mind. The night is a sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world is stripped away, leaving only the fundamental truths of existence. As we move along the ridge, we see the distant glow of a volcanic vent on the horizon, a reminder of the fires that once nearly extinguished life on Earth. Now the volcanism is subdued, a controlled release of the planet's internal heat rather than a catastrophic eruption. The soft orange light provides a focal point in the dimness, a beacon that marks the boundary between the land and the sky. It is a beautiful and haunting sight, a symbol of the dual nature of the Earth as both a creator and a destroyer. The moisture in the atmosphere begins to thicken into a true fog, obscuring the distant hills and wrapping the landscape in a soft white blanket. The world becomes smaller, more intimate, as the details of the immediate surroundings come into sharper focus. We see the texture of the moss on the rocks, the delicate veins in a fallen leaf, and the tracks of a small insect in the sand. Every detail is a marvel, a tiny piece of the grand mosaic of life. We find a comfortable place to rest among the roots of a giant conifer, the wood providing a sturdy and reliable backrest. The ground is soft with a carpet of fallen needles, a natural bed that is both warm and fragrant. We close our eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of the Triassic night wash over us, a symphony of rustles, croaks, and the steady pulse of the planet. It is a moment of profound peace, a connection to the deep time that shaped our own existence. The stars begin to fade as the first hint of pre-dawn light touches the eastern horizon. Though the sun is still far below the edge of the landscape, the shadows shift and stretch, losing their sharp edges as the world prepares for the transition into a new day. We feel a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to witness this recovery, to see the resilience of life firsthand. The landscape is ready for the challenges of the light, its inhabitants stirring in their burrows and nests as the cycle continues toward the next great era. The first light of the morning filters through the dense canopy of the primordial forest, casting long and distorted shadows across the forest floor. We leave the shelter of the conifer roots, our footsteps making no noise on the carpet of fallen needles, as we move deeper into the heart of this recovering landscape. The atmosphere is cool and damp, carrying the sharp scent of resin and the earthy aroma of damp soil, a reminder of the life that is thriving in the wake of the Great Transition. Every breath feels crisp and clean, a testament to the oxygen being pumped into the environment by the sprawling groves of seed ferns and horsetails. We find ourselves walking along the edge of a slow-moving stream where the liquid flow is dark and glassy, reflecting the pale colors of the sky. Small ripples move across the skin of the stream, caused by the movement of tiny fish and crustaceans that have managed to survive and adapt. The banks are lined with thickets of reeds, their slender stalks swaying gently in the morning breeze, creating a soft and rustling cadence that fills the silence. It is a peaceful place, a sanctuary where the struggle for survival is momentarily paused by the tranquility of the dawn. In the shallows, a group of Lystrosaurus has gathered to drink, their barrel-shaped bodies partially submerged in the cool liquid. They move with a slow and deliberate grace, their tusks occasionally scraping against the stones as they forage for succulent roots and tubers. These hardy survivors are the architects of the new ecosystem, their resilience allowing them to colonize every corner of the planet. We watch them for a long time, mesmerized by their quiet strength and the way they interact with one another, a community forged in the crucible of a changing world. A sudden movement in the reeds catches our eye, a flash of green and brown that disappears as quickly as it appeared. It is a Proterosuchus, a crocodilian-like predator that perfectly embodies the dangers of the riverbank. It remains perfectly still, its eyes just above the surface of the stream, waiting for an opportunity to strike with lightning speed. The predator is a reminder that even in this peaceful setting, the balance of life and death is always present, a fundamental truth of the prehistoric era. We move cautiously around the predator's territory, giving it the respect its power deserves. As the sun climbs higher, the mist begins to thin, revealing the true scale of the river delta and the sprawling plains beyond. The landscape is a mosaic of vibrant greens and deep browns, punctuated by the silver threads of the waterways that snake across the terrain. We follow one of these channels toward the coast, where the land meets the Tethys Ocean in a series of wide and muddy lagoons. The scent of salt and decaying organic matter fills the atmosphere, a complex and evocative smell that speaks of the richness of the coastal environment. The tide is receding, leaving behind a wide expanse of glistening mud that is teeming with life. Small crabs scuttle between the burrows, their claws clicking against the shells of mollusks, while shorebirds that are not yet birds probe the silt for food. The mud is a record of the morning's activities, a canvas covered in the tracks and trails of countless creatures. We walk along the high water mark, finding treasures in the form of polished stones and the fossilized remains of even older organisms. A history within a history. In a nearby rocky outcrop, we discover a colony of Synognathus, their dog-like faces peering out from the safety of their burrows. These early relatives of mammals are covered in a fine layer of fur, a revolutionary adaptation that allows them to regulate their body temperature. They are social creatures, huddling together for warmth and protection, their soft murmurs creating a sense of intimacy in the wide landscape. We watch as a mother grooms her young, a tender moment that bridges the gap between the archaic past and the familiar present. The vegetation here is different from the inland forests, dominated by salt-tolerant shrubs and low-growing cycads that cling to the rocky soil. The leaves are tough and waxy, designed to withstand the harsh coastal winds and the spray of the ocean. We run our fingers over the texture of a cycad leaf, feeling the ridges and the strength of the plant. It is a survivor, a witness to the shifting tides and the slow movement of the continents. The endurance of these plants is a source of comfort, a sign that the foundation of the ecosystem is solid. We find a high point on a cliff overlooking the ocean, where the view extends for miles across the blue expanse. The Tethys is a cradle of life, its depths home to a diverse array of marine reptiles and ammonites that are only just beginning to diversify. The waves crash against the rocks below with a steady and rhythmic pulse, a sound that has echoed through the ages. We sit on the warm stone, letting the sun soak into our skin, feeling a deep connection to the planet and its long and complex history. The transition from the early morning to the heat of the midday is gradual, marked by the changing quality of the light and the rising temperature. The atmosphere becomes more weighted, the moisture from the lagoons evaporating into a shimmering haze that blurs the horizon. We move away from the coast, heading toward a region of red sandstone cliffs that rise like fortresses from the plains. The color of the rock is intense, a deep and vibrant crimson that glows in the sunlight, a result of the iron-rich minerals in the soil. In the shadow of the cliffs, we encounter a small and agile creature known as Euparkeria. It moves on its hind legs with a surprising degree of speed and coordination, its long tail providing balance as it darts between the rocks. This little reptile is a pioneer, a glimpse into the future of life on Earth, as it represents the lineage that will eventually lead to the dinosaurs. Its movements are precise and purposeful, a testament to the evolutionary innovations that are taking place in this era of recovery. The heat of the day is now fully present, a dry and pressing warmth that slows the pace of life. Most of the larger animals have sought shade, resting in the cool recesses of the cliffs or beneath the spreading branches of the conifers. The landscape is quiet, the only noise being the occasional call of an insect or the rustle of a lizard in the dry leaves. We find a shaded canyon where a small spring trickles from the rock, creating a tiny oasis of green in the arid terrain. The liquid is cool and refreshing, a vital resource in this sun-drenched landscape. We sit by the spring for a long time, watching the way the moisture brings life to the surrounding area. Mosses and liverworts cling to the damp stones, their vibrant green a stark contrast to the red sandstone. Small insects hover over the pool, their wings glintingly in the stray beams of sunlight that penetrate the canyon. It is a miniature world, a self-contained ecosystem that thrives in the isolation of the rocks. We feel a sense of privilege to witness this hidden beauty, a reminder that life finds a way even in the most challenging conditions. The geological layers of the cliffs tell a story of millions of years of deposition and erosion, a vertical history of the planet's past. We see the bands of different colors and textures, each representing a different environment and a different chapter in the recovery of life. The scale of time is immense, far beyond the human capacity to fully comprehend, yet we feel its weight in the very stones beneath us. It is a humbling experience, a reminder of our own brief place in the grand narrative of the Earth. As we leave the canyon and head back toward the open plains, we see a large Chancysuchus resting near a drying watering hole. This massive predator is a formidable sight, its powerful jaws and heavy armor making it the apex hunter of its time. Even in its resting state, it exudes an aura of dominance, a creature that has mastered its environment. We watch it from a safe distance, admiring the efficiency of its design and the way it fits into the complex web of life in the Middle Triassic. The landscape is beginning to shift once more as we move into a region of rolling hills and wide valleys. The vegetation is becoming more lush, with sprawling forests of dicroidium ferns that cover the hillsides in a sea of green. The air is filled with the scent of pollen and the hum of insects, a sign that the primary productivity of the planet is reaching new heights. We walk through the ferns, the fronds brushing against our legs, a soft and tactile connection to the living landscape. The sun is starting its slow descent toward the western horizon, though the day is still far from over. The shadows are beginning to lengthen once again, stretching across the valleys and climbing the sides of the hills. The light is becoming warmer and more golden, casting a beautiful glow over the entire landscape. We find a high ridge where we can watch the transition, the world around us bathed in a soft and ethereal light that seems to stop time. We look out over the expanse of the Triassic world, feeling a sense of awe at the resilience and diversity of life. From the smallest insect to the largest predator, every creature is a part of this grand recovery, a testament to the enduring power of the biological spirit. The landscape is a living museum, a place where the past and the future meet in a continuous cycle of change and adaptation. We feel a deep sense of peace, a connection to the fundamental patterns of existence that have shaped the planet for billions of years. The cooling atmosphere brings a fresh energy to the landscape as the animals that have been resting during the heat of the day begin to stir. We hear the distant calls of herds moving toward the water, the sound carrying clearly in the still evening. The sky is a canvas of orange, pink and purple, a spectacular display of color that marks the end of another day in the deep time of the earth. We prepare ourselves for the next stage of our journey, moving toward the shadows of the approaching night with a sense of anticipation and wonder. The path ahead is clear, winding through the hills and toward the distant mountains that mark the boundary of this region. We walk with a steady and measured pace, our senses tuned to the subtle changes in the environment as the light continues to fade. The first stars are beginning to appear in the darkening sky, their faint light a reminder of the vastness of the universe beyond our own world. We move forward into the deepening shadow, ready to discover the secrets that the night holds in this ancient and ever-changing landscape. The twilight deepens into a velvet shroud, wrapping the rugged peaks in a mantle of indigo and obsidian. We tread softly upon the cooling earth, where the scent of damp moss and mineral dust rises to meet the cooling breeze. Every step carries us deeper into the heart of the Triassic night, a time of transition and quiet transformation. The celestial canopy reveals a density of stars unknown to later eyes, a glittering river of light that spans the horizon. This celestial river, the Milky Way, casts a ghostly silver glow over the sprawling plains below. We pause to look upward, feeling the immense scale of the cosmos as it watches over this young landscape. In the hollows of the valley, the large forms of dicynodonts gather, their massive bodies radiating a fading warmth. These tusked herbivores, known as placerias, huddle together for security and heat as the temperature drops. Their breathing is a slow and steady drone, a collective pulse that echoes the endurance of their lineage. The atmosphere grows colder, carrying the sharp tang of conifer resin from the highland forests. We move past the sleeping giants, our feet finding purchase on the sandy soil of an ancient riverbed. The flow of the stream is now a mere whisper, a silver thread winding through the canyon floor. Among the shadows of the horsetails, a small and agile form flits through the undergrowth with effortless grace. This is Coelophysis, a slender pioneer of a new dynasty, its movements sharp and precise in the dimness. It represents a shift in the balance of life, a herald of the era that is yet to come. We watch as the small creature pauses, its large eyes reflecting the faint starlight as it scans for insects. There is a sense of focused energy in its posture, a readiness to claim its place in the changing landscape. It disappears into the ferns, leaving behind a silence that feels expectant and full of potential. On the high ridges above, the silhouette of Opisthosuchus stands as a guardian of the old order. This apex predator, with its powerful limbs and armored back, surveys the valley with a quiet intensity. It is a master of this terrain, a formidable presence that has shaped the ecology of the Triassic. The predator moves with a slow and measured gait, its weight pressing into the stone as it patrols the boundary of its territory. The vibration of its footsteps is nearly imperceptible, yet it carries a weight of authority that commands respect. We observe from the safety of the lower slopes, witnessing the final hours of its nocturnal vigil. The wind sighs through the needles of the araucaria trees, a mournful and melodic note that travels for miles. It carries the history of the land, the stories of the species that have risen and fallen across the vastness of time. We listen to the wind, letting its song wash over us as we descend toward the lowland swamps. In the humid depths of the basin, the large amphibians known as Metaposaurus lie submerged in the murky pools. Only their nostrils and eyes break the skin of the stream, watching the night with a patience that spans millions of years. The water is still, reflecting the stars like a dark mirror of the heavens above. A soft mist begins to form over the pools, a white veil that softens the edges of the jagged ferns. The humidity is a comforting weight, a reminder of the life-giving moisture that sustains this complex ecosystem. We stand at the edge of the swamp, feeling the pulse of the living earth beneath our feet. Nearby, a group of Desmatosuchus rests among the cycads, their armored bodies providing a natural defense against the night. These herbivorous archosaurs are like living fortresses, their spiked shoulders and bony plates gleaming in the half-light. They are peaceful in their slumber, their slow respirations marking the passage of time. The landscape is a tapestry of life in repose, a moment of stillness before the inevitable turn of the geological clock. We feel the weight of the ages in this place, the sense of being part of a story that is much larger than ourselves. The transition from the Permian to the Triassic has been a journey of resilience and renewal. As the night reaches its deepest point, the temperature stabilizes, and a profound quietude takes hold of the valley. The calls of the nocturnal insects fade, replaced by the low hum of the planet itself. It is a frequency of existence that is both grounding and transcendent, a note of pure being. We find a sheltered spot beneath the spreading branches of a ginkgo tree, the fan-shaped leaves forming a canopy of shadow. The ground is soft with fallen needles and moss, providing a natural bed for our final rest in this era. We lie back, looking up through the foliage at the distant and unchanging stars. The journey through the time before the dinosaurs has revealed a world of incredible diversity and strength. We have seen the rise of the first forests, the conquest of the land by the early tetrapods, and the great recovery after the extinction. Every creature we have encountered is a testament to the enduring drive of life to persist. The shadows around us are long and deep, yet they do not feel cold or unwelcoming. They are the shadows of history, the spaces where the past remains preserved in the memory of the stone. We feel a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to witness these vanished ecosystems in their prime. The first hint of a new dawn begins to touch the highest peaks of the mountains, a pale gray light that signals the coming change. The stars begin to fade, their brilliance retreating before the inevitable approach of the sun. We know that our time in this era is coming to a close, yet the peace we have found here remains. The world is preparing to wake, to start the cycle of growth and competition once more. But for now, in these final moments of the night, there is only the stillness and the breath of the ancient earth. We close our eyes, letting the sounds of the Triassic fade into the background of our consciousness. We drift into a deep and dreamless sleep, carried by the steady and comforting pulse of the planet. The story of the Earth continues, a never-ending narrative of change, adaptation, and beauty. We are but observers in this grand progression, resting in the quiet embrace of deep time. The light grows stronger, and the journey finds its natural conclusion in the soft glow of a new morning. Thank you for wandering through deep time with me tonight. Until next time, on Forgotten Habitats, sleep well.